Hi everyone, this is Zach from FormalPay. So today I'm just actually taking you this 40 minutes to 1 hour time to share with you actually about actually what's happening recently about the digital payment, and especially in this post COVID-19 situation. Really thanks for the invitation from Ms. Xiaofang and also NTU here. So because I graduated many years ago from NTU, and definitely actually also been working very closely with NTU. So as a engineer before, so definitely actually, engineer really loves to solve the problem. So today, I want to try just actually to share with everyone actually what's some of the problems, and share with anyone here some of the stories, so that actually how we manage to solve some of the problem. Yeah, so this is the agenda today. So just 3 stories. One story is about what is digital payment. And second story is how is actually the digital payment market today. And the third story is about why actually it related to me or you. Because I understand from NTU side, I think most of the audience actually registered today, it's quite new to fintech. So I want to also actually to take a one step back to share with everyone actually as really the new player into fintech. So really, what is really fintech about? Yeah. So 3 stories. What is digital payment? How is digital payment market today, and why it relates to me or you? Yeah. First, I want to actually start with one question here. So everyone here, who leads the digital transformation of your company? Is it your CEO, your CTO, or COVID-19? So most of actually the startup actually for our answers actually all go to C, COVID-19. Because during last actually 3 months or almost actually 4 months right now, so you realize because we cannot travel, we cannot even meet with the friends, meet our clients, partners face to face. So it really forces us to do digital transformation. So that's how actually the way of interaction, the way how actually we're dealing with the business, even we actually how our daily life, it's totally changed. And here is actually one of the survey that actually some of the institutions just done like 2 months ago. How is actually the shopping and payment behavior has changed? Yeah. So right now you see actually a lot of more payment going to online, and actually a lot of them actually prefer to use like food delivery, order pickup of those one, and they don't even go to the supermarket anymore. So everyone now become remotely. So the problem about doing business or living remotely is really about how you really connect with people, and especially how you can really create the trust with people. And that will brings to the topic today, how we live in this digital payment. Yeah. Firstly, I want to give everyone a quick background. I think Ms. Xiaofang just already introduced about myself. But here I want to also touch a little bit more about actually how's FormalPay and why actually we are able to give you some of the insights about fintech industry. So FormalPay, we work very closely with the central bank. So we are one of actually the first MS fintech award winner back in a few years ago. And we also work very closely with the traditional card network like Visa. And also we work very closely with all the banks here, Citibank, OCBC, DBS, of those. And also this year, because of this COVID-19, so some of actually the world leading organization like a World Economic Forum also trying to figure out how can we really take the advantage of digital transformation to make actually work into the maybe fourth actually industrial revolution. So that's why actually we also just joined the World Economic Forum as a global innovator to contribute to our insight today. And here is also some of the actually the daily brands that you may see. So like Nets, like WeChat, Shopee or something. So you can see actually all of those are our existing clients and the partner. So FormalPay, we are actually the system or the solution provider behind them. So you might not actually see FormalPay brand before, but actually as long as you are dealing with all of those brands, their payment system is actually powering by us. Okay, now the first part, what is the digital payment? So I want to give you a little bit of history about digital payment. So this video was talking about the cost of cash. Everyone of us definitely actually we have been using cash actually, no matter actually previously or still now. So actually cash is definitely one of the most common so-called medium of making the payment. So actually the cost of cash is actually not free, even we are using it actually every day. But to share with you the story behind here. So in order to print out, no matter it's coin or cash, in order to transport cash and coin, in order to secure coin and cash, it's all actually taking a lot of cost. So you may not actually be paying the cost of the cash directly, but actually the government is the one actually paying the bill for you. And some of the professionals, they have done the estimation. The cost of cash can be up to actually the 1% of the total GDP of the one country. So that's actually how expensive cash can be. And here is also the a quick story about actually how actually payment has been transformed in the history. So cash actually was born almost actually thousands of years ago, from like 600 years before century. Then for the credit card, actually was born very recently, less than actually 100 years. So from actually 1950, Diners Club actually invented one of the first card in the world. So that's where actually we start to have the card payment. And also during the 1990, one of the actually the first so-called digital payment company was born. That was like 20 years ago, where actually the first company called PayPal was just born. And the PayPal was really the first one to do the so-called digital kind of a way of the payment by using their email to making the payment. But today, what actually we are talking more about, it will be the mobile payment. So only start with around like 10 years ago. So here is actually the main instrument or actually the different forms of the digital payment or the mobile payment actually you can see today. Why I use this digital payment and the mobile payment interchangeably? Because most of the digital payment right now actually they are more popular on your mobile device. So that's why actually people just call them mobile payment. Yeah. So we have the digital payment instrument from the card scheme. So Visa, MasterCard, they have their digital payment. So telecom, so like Syntel in Singapore here, they also have their digital wallet called Syntel Dash. And also other telecoms all over the world. Some of them, they even use the SMS to be the instrument of payment. And one of the largest wallet here is also the independent wallet. Some of them, they call it also the big tech. So they are not from the banks or from financial institution background. So for example, here, Alipay, they from Alibaba, from e-commerce. WeChat, they come from the social media. Google, they come from the search engine. Shopee also from e-commerce. Amazon also from the e-commerce. So they are all like becoming the digital wallet or going to be a digital bank nowadays. And last but not least here, it's also definitely the banks. So DBS have their PayLah, UOB have Mighty, OCBC have Pay Anyone, and all the other banks here in Singapore, they also have the Pay Now. So that's actually all the digital payment actually around us in our daily life. And the second part is how is actually the digital payment today. Yeah, here is actually one of actually stats from one of the global reports to share with you what is the mobile payment penetration rate over the world. So you can tell here, China actually their mobile payment penetration rate is #1 in the world. It's already up to 35%. So that's why actually you may read the news just this week. And Financial, one of the largest wallet, actually Alipay, is also going to IPO. And their valuation is almost actually the same as one of the largest bank. Yeah. And second to China, it's also India here. So we will also tap on more about actually why actually India can have such a high penetration rate into the payment. And following that, it's Indonesia, Israel, Russia, US. Yeah, so definitely actually Singapore, it's also coming up, but maybe in next actually 1 or 2 years time. Yeah. So here is actually the growth for the last 10 years actually of the digital payment penetration in China. So you can tell, you can see 10 years ago, almost actually no people use mobile payment before. But at today, actually more than 300 trillion RMB are all transacted actually by the mobile payment in China. And here is India. So actually India also, the mobile payment actually only started around 4 years ago in 2016. Before that, the growth actually was not really very good. But there is one incident happened in the November of 2016. That's actually demonetization. So India government trying to really to reduce actually the bribery, trying to actually clear out all the so-called money laundering, so-called black money there. So one of actually most popular so-called money laundering note, it's actually the note at around 100 rupiah. So the government actually announced overnight without actually any early notice to the public. They are just actually they are actually just so-called destroying all the 100 rupiah overnight. So means actually you have all the 100 rupiah note with you, but actually over one night it become nothing. So that's how actually this one people call it a demonetization. And during that time, all the actually people in India, they don't trust their cash actually in their pocket anymore. And that's why actually they think, okay, if I put my money in the digital wallet or in the bank, at least actually it's still worth something. But for the cash, oh my God, maybe over one night, it can be nothing. Excuse me. So that's how actually you can tell here within last 4 years, the penetration rate of actually the digital payment or the mobile payment in India was increasing very, very fast. Yeah, and here let's go back to Singapore here. So Singapore also started a little bit late because the credit card was very popular in Singapore already. So Singapore had a very good infrastructure compared to China and India. So that's why actually we don't have a lot of mobile payment at the beginning. But for the last 3 years, government has been trying a lot to push for the digital payment. To trying to generate more data actually into one of actually the government initiative here called Smart Nation. Singapore trying to build a smart nation. So one of the actually key issue to solve is definitely cash, because cash does not generate any data and does not really bring any benefit, but still actually has a very, very high cost. So that's why actually through the really promotion of government, so the mobile payment or the digital payment usage in Singapore also has been increasing a lot for the last 3 years. And here it's also about actually the global landscape, how the central banks are involved in this digital payment landscape. So China definitely actually the central bank has been already regulated all the digital wallet. So as long as you are running a digital wallet, you need to have a payment license to operate. Then Thailand also actually issued something called the PromptPay, trying to push the banks actually to do some initiative in the mobile payment. Malaysia also right now have more than 20 different wallets trying to fight against the cash. So Singapore here, what we can see, this is the SGQR. You can find actually in every SME or the hawkers or some of the mama shop in Singapore here. So government has been consolidated all the different wallets into this single QR code issued by government. And for the New Zealand also actually the government also the regulator, the central bank has been pushing a lot the digital payment and collaboration with the wallets between wallets and the banks in order to save the cash usage. And now actually go to the third part of our agenda today. Why actually it related to me and you. So here it's about actually the usage about the cash. Actually, some of the surveys they just did in this post-COVID-19 world. So you can tell that before COVID-19, a lot of actually Gen Z user. So actually means actually sounds like really like some young students or something. They use actually digital payment a lot because they use the mobile a lot. So the increase actually in the Gen Z was not very high because they are already using it. Yeah. But what's really most actually impacted is young millennial and the senior millennial here. One of the key reasons, I think maybe today actually the audience actually is also mainly young millennial, senior millennial, and also maybe Gen Z or someone here. So one was the reason why you sign up for the session today. I think also because that you notice there is some change happening in your family or maybe just on yourself. So you start to actually have more usage on the digital payment. So that's actually exactly what actually this COVID-19 has brought to us. Because previously, when we shopping outside, so very naturally, I just take my wallet, then take my credit card, pass it to cashier, that's it. But right now, credit card, yes, actually you can still use it. but more and more actually merchants, because they are bearing the cost charged by the credit card up to 3%. So not all the merchants, they are willing to accept the way of credit card. So sometimes they don't accept the credit card in a way that actually they will just use the mobile payment or the digital payment instead. So that's why actually you will find a lot of like a delivery shop or some of the actually other like online grocery services, they don't really accept the traditional Visa MasterCard. So you can only pay them by PayNow or maybe GrabPay or some other wallets. So that's how actually it's really impacted us, and we are all adapting to the new digital payment today. And here is also some of the stats from, I try to find actually the statistics for this year, but unfortunately the ABS, Association of Banks in Singapore, haven't really released the number for this year. But here is some of the comparison comparing with 3 years ago to this year. So we are taking the official number from PayNow here. So you can tell the monthly transaction of PayNow, it's already more than 6 million 8 months ago, before COVID-19. And over this actually COVID-19 period, definitely this number has actually increased a lot. Maybe I think it's already doubled. Yeah, so that's actually some of actually our forecast. Yeah, and here it's also also the overview about the Asian here, because Singapore is just a small market in the world. So a lot of like user behavior, it's not only decided by the local user here, but also it depends on the overseas trade, cross-border payment, and also how about it is the whole market is growing. So if you right now, definitely we cannot really travel a lot, but I think all of us, we all actually have friends from all over the world. So you can actually chat with your friend, just actually ask them actually how do they feel the difference actually before COVID-19 and after COVID-19 into the payment method they use in a daily basis. So you will realize actually in Singapore, Thailand, China, and also European Union, it's already playing the gaming changer role. So actually it means the digital payment has already actually changed actually the people's actually daily life by replacing the cash. In some other country like Vietnam, Brunei, or Malaysia, yeah, so digital payment is actually still playing the role of like an innovative role. One of the main reasons there is because actually cash was still the king there. So mobile payment, yes, it's in a way very popular. And if some people actually very interested in the innovation, still actually want to try it. But in majority of the market, it's still actually having some of the actually obstacles, still have some challenges. And in other market like India, Indonesia, and the Philippines, the digital payment is growing very rapidly. But in some other country here, Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar, because their infrastructure was not as good as some other countries before. So even for some like a credit card payment was not well accepted there now. So what's actually the digital payment is playing right now is really providing a foundational role, helping them to really build up the next generation of the infrastructure to increase the digital payment. And let's go back to Singapore here. So I want to also share with you a little bit more from the public sector here. So how actually the Singapore government or the central bank, MS, is looking at the digital payment transformation over these 60 years. So around 60 years ago, so Singapore actually has launched one of actually the interbank transfer called FAST. So whenever right now you are transferring to your friend, most of the time actually interbank transfer was done by this FAST. And 3 years ago, they didn't actually stop at the bank level, but they also think that maybe at the retail level, the retail user can also be involved more into the this digital transfer. That's why actually Singapore government launched this product called the Pay Now, and ask all the banks actually to support this Pay Now solution. So it's easier for everyone. Instead of transferring to the bank account, you can just register your mobile number and the NRIC in order to make the payment to one of your friends. And 2 years ago, because the government realized more and more wallets, and especially foreign wallets, actually come to Singapore. One of the key reasons at that time was like Alipay and WeChat Pay was very popular, because a lot of Chinese tourists was in Singapore last time, but they don't have a Visa MasterCard, and the Singapore merchant here also, they do have a Visa MasterCard, but actually it does not support the way of Chinese payment. So the Chinese payment was very popular at that time, but also it brings more and more wallets into Singapore. So if you go to some of the hawkers at that time, one hawker can support over like 10 wallets. So actually they can have the different payment method catering for Chinese tourists, India tourists, Indonesia tourists, of those. So government don't think actually this is really the right way to accept the digital payment. So that's why actually they launched the world's first government issued QR called SGQR to standardize all the different QR code payment. So that's why you no longer see more than 10 different QR code pasted on the hawker side. Instead, right now you can see only one QR code pasted over there. Yeah, and now moving on, last year, so Singapore is really a very small market. So Singapore government also realized that not only that actually bank can be the role playing the innovator here, but also non-bank also can contribute here. So that's why actually Singapore government is also giving the fast network access to some of the actually the non-bank player, trying to push more into the innovation of the digital payment. So that's how actually today here you see actually more and more fintech player is all coming to Singapore. One of the actually the key reason here is the government is very, very welcoming all the non-bank player to set up, to get a license, to register their business, yeah, and to really gain their market share here in Singapore. Yeah, so that's how actually the government role is playing here. And beyond this, I want to also share with you about actually one initiative that actually is happening in Singapore every year. It's called the Singapore FinTech Festival. So Singapore FinTech Festival was one of actually world's most successful event, and especially definitely in FinTech. And because the Singapore government had this event, I think 5 years ago, then some other countries like India, even Africa, and also the Middle East, they all start to have this FinTech Festival, trying to copy the idea from Singapore, because they do realize FinTech is not something really very away from us, but it can be something into our daily life. So that's why actually they had this FinTech Festival, trying to let people know what's really happening into this FinTech industry, and can change the way that we are interacting with the financial services provider. And what's really going to happen in future? I do have one video here, but let me try again later whether I can play or not. But let me just explain to you first. The role of actually FinTech, it's only about actually the financial technology. So it means using the technology to solve the existing financial problem. So it's not really something new. Yeah, it's just using whatever the technology we have, no matter it's a blockchain or using the AI, artificial intelligence, or can be even cloud technology, can be even mobile technology to solve the problem that we had before. Previously, we all need to go to the bank branch, because that actually we have to, because the bank is need to do so-called the physical KYC, because of the regulation requirement. They have to meet you face to face to make sure you are a real person. But right now, thanks for the technology, we don't need to go to bank to register my bank account, to do the bank transfer of those. Yeah, and in future, you can see that actually DBS is also reducing the number of the ATM in Singapore here, because they realized that the cash usage in Singapore is also reducing along the way. Yeah, and what actually we believe in future, it's also fintech or the digital payment. It may not be a individual or standalone industry, but every company, as long as actually they are really in touch or with the financial services, they can all actually have the financial inclusion. They can all provide the financial services. So that's why actually the app you are using today, like Grab, like Shopee, they are all actually trying to provide you more services. Maybe you did not pay enough attention, but you can open your Grab wallet right now, then realize actually there is something even called the so-called the credit. So you don't need to actually make the payment using your fund now, but you can also making the payment from your credit. Yeah, or you can also buy the digital insurance from the Grab app of those. So that's all actually the little change of the digital payment has been into our daily life. Next video I want to share with you.
Digital payments have revolutionized the way that people everywhere pay and accept money for goods and services. Consumers and merchants no longer have to worry about the inconvenience and security risks involved with carrying around large amounts of cash in order to pay for the things they need. But the benefits of digital payments go well beyond just convenience and security. It turns out that digital payments also expand the potential customer base for merchants, reduce cash and check handling costs, provide access to financial services to many previously unbanked populations, and bring many shadow economy transactions into the formal economy, increasing tax revenues for government. All of these factors combine to reduce overall friction for the economy, leading to increased spending and consumption. This increased spending in turn justifies greater production, an increase in jobs, higher wages, and overall economic growth. But just how much have digital payments contributed to economic growth? A recent study by Moody's Analytics examined the effect that digital payments had over 5 years in 70 countries in order to answer this question. The results of the study showed that digital payments contributed an astounding $296 billion to the GDP. In addition, around 2.6 million jobs were created per year, or nearly 0.5% of total employment in the countries studied. Across the countries studied, on average, a 1% increase in digital payments adoption equated to around $104 billion in GDP growth. This growth was shown across the board in both developed and developing nations, providing huge potential return for emerging countries, where adoption of digital payments is still in the early stages. So, the effect of digital payments goes well beyond just convenience. Digital payments actually have the potential to drive economic growth, expand economies, increase the number of jobs, and drive financial inclusion around the world, while at the same time increasing security, reducing the shadow economy, and making payments easier for everyone, everywhere.
Yeah, hope that video can give you a better understanding about really how digital payment and change actually the whole economic in the world. Yeah, so that's why actually next time when you making the digital payment or something, then you can realize actually it's not really related to one single transaction, but it's really related to the whole actually economic, how actually it's all actually working here. Okay, thanks everyone.